Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Collins and welcome back to the Outsiders channel. Today we are doing a RPG review, and it's a secret RPG review. We're going to give you the big reveal in a minute. But I think first of all, I think it's very important to set the groundwork of this game first and talk about some of the things it's not very good at, and talk about its history, and then when I reveal, it's going to be somewhat of a shock, because I found this quite amazing. This game is not talked about, there's very few reviews about it. I came across it by chance. I was doing a search for the game that was going to be my default game. Now that my love affair with some products has come to a complete end, I'm looking for the next thing that I can really put to my players, and it's been this system. And this system has gone down like a storm. They really have fallen in love with this, the players. And I'm convinced, as DMs or players, you will too. Now, this system derives from things like Call of Cthulhu, Pendragon, so it's got great history, RuneQuest, basic role-playing, and so you're obviously getting a feel here, a lot of it's from Chaosium is the influences, Elric, Stormbringer, it's all got those influences. I get the feeling that the designers of this game kind of took the best elements, it seems to me, particularly, I may be wrong, I feel from things like Elric and Stormbringer, which I've only recently discovered that system and kind of quite like it for lots of reasons. Some of it I don't like, but some of it I did like. And it kind of taken all the best elements and put them in this volume. So you can tell it's got a huge pedigree. So what is it? Well, it's this. Magic World from basic basic role-playing games. Made by Chaosium. Basic role-playing. I keep getting that wrong. You know, the big yellow book made by Chaosium. And what they've kind of done is taken, and it's a fantasy book, obviously, fantasy role-playing game, and they've taken the very, very best elements of those games I've mentioned, really, or the essence of them, and somebody said what would make a great, intuitive role-playing game with lots of ways the GM and the players can use it, tons of options, make it into a game that's fast-flowing, fun, doesn't necessarily need a grid, but can quite happily use one, has all those ingredients that somebody would look for in terms of, and I was looking for things where, you know, injuries can be healed, but I didn't want them to heal necessarily really, really quickly. I want them to be healed, and I want the characters to still be able to function, but I want them to sometimes carry a little bit of an injury without it impeding on the game and them having to heal up for 8 months and being too ultra realistic. And equally, I wanted all the characters to have a chance, if they wanted to have magic. Excuse me. That's a very difficult blend. Plus, I wanted the game to have that feel of longevity where the characters at the table, you know, they'll do an adventure or 2 adventures or 3 adventures, and a passage of time will have gone by. And also, I wanted things where, and I'm asking quite a big list here of things I wanted, where equipment does realistically break down reasonably regularly, where, you know, whereas some games the player will just use the same weapon over and over until they get a better magical upgrade, which really bugs me. And where is the element of wow anymore from role-playing games? Everybody seems to know what everybody else has written because they've copied it off the previous edition and so forth and so on and so on. And that upsets me because there's nothing left for a new GM to find until this. Now, this game is not without its issues, but it is all-encompassing. It's got a mini sandbox world in here. It's got a reasonable sized bestiary. It's got even rules on seafaring, the like of which I haven't seen since the days of Han. So detailedly and beautifully done. A lovely role-playing mechanic in terms of how you design or how you want as a GM to roll characters up is, if you've played any of the games I've mentioned, is very easy for you to do because you'll immediately fall in love with it. If you played recently Call of Cthulhu, you'll understand the system. If there's something from 7th edition Call of Cthulhu that you thought that's a nice way of rolling up, I'd like to include that in this game. Well, just poured it in. It's just beautiful. And it wouldn't lose a beat. It's not like you're going to overbalance the game or break it, or there's going to be a ripple. You're not going to see the ripples. For the first time ever, you could throw that stone in the pond of role-playing, and the ripples, you will see what they do. And it's very difficult with some games to see that. But this does it. And still has tons of options. So it scratched all the things I was looking for it to do, and some. But it's not without its issues. Now, if you were to pick this book up off the shelf and look at it, and going beyond the cover, because the cover's very nice, and there's a lovely glossy map of the sandbox world called the Southern Reaches at the very beginning, and it's okay, you know, I can take it or leave it kind of thing. There's very little art in the book. What there is a bit dark and, you know, doesn't really achieve a lot. I could easily just put this book down and not have really given it any time, but I would have missed a diamond in the rough I really would have missed a diamond. It's a perfectly balanced, beautifully pitched, and I don't want to use the word balanced to mean anything where everything is the same. I mean, for me, it's perfectly balanced. It touches all the things I've talked about, and it does it beautifully well. Now, if you wanted a game that can create high fantasy without feeling like superheroes, a game where the players potentially could pick whatever skills they really want to build the character of their dreams, and it all work well together, that it has layers in there that are going to feel familiar to you, yet the combat is still deep and interesting. So you can have characters who maybe use 2 weapons but then are without a shield. Shields have huge advantages in the game. Shields can be used to attack with, which they should be able to be used to attack with. Weapons do break. Weapons do get damaged. Armour gets damaged. Armour does protect. All those things are covered in this rules in a beautiful way. Even weapon lengths are done in a way that actually gives a strategic option in the game. And it's done so well and effortlessly. And the fact that you can, as a GM, create, if you want to run it straight, so you could run the game straight, then it's very gritty feel fantasy. If you want high heroic fantasy where the players could probably fend off 3 or 4 enemy each, it's in there. And all the time somebody has thought effortlessly about how this is going to work at the table, what you know, as you open it up, you start looking at things, you start realizing there's even more layers to the game. And there's some nice things where you look, it doesn't use an alignment system, but it uses a kind of what I would call a sort of you know, the shadow and light kind of system, and the players get a choice. There's sort of 3 paths really. Sort of, you're in the middle, you've got light, you've got dark, and you choose your path. And how you play, if you tailor your character towards a particular path, ultimately has some advantages to you along that route, because you'll be either a champion of shadow or a champion of darkness. Not in a way where nobody can play together, but in a way which actually feels really reminiscent, reminds me an awful lot of sort of Pendragon. You know, it has a sort of a feel to it. And I love the fact that, you know, I can actually feel like I can pull bits out of certain games really well and make this the exact game that I was looking for. So it's a game that if you were just to score it, I would end up scoring it probably out of 5, because that's what I've always given my reviews. Probably 4. You know, sorry, 4 has always been my I do apologise. 4 has always been my scoring system, so there's no sitting on the fence. You'd probably score this game a 3, 3.5 out of 4 stars, if you will. But because it scratches all the itches I'm looking for, irrespective of its flaws, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for me. And you know, in my channel, I will only review games that I absolutely love, and that's why I'm putting it to you. This is Magic World. It's a game that has got tremendous amount of online support, actually more than you know. And one of the things that struck me and just blew me away the other day was, I was thinking about this review and when I was going to do it, because it's been meaning to do this review for a while, because players have fallen in love with this at my table, and I as a GM have fallen in love with it, because I don't have to spend hours of prep time to come to the table. I can spend all my time on my stories, I can spend all my time at the game, I can spend all my time on the focus of what's about to happen. I don't have to spend any time about anything else. And then somebody online on the forum the other day, for BRP, for basic role-playing, but obviously for Magic World as well, and anybody else who wants to use it, has put together the big bad book of bad guys. I can't remember the actual name, I'll put a link on it here. But effectively, it's a book, 488 pages, with all Monster Manual 1, Monster Manual 2, and Fiend Folio creatures already written in with a colour plate that you could use in this game. So on top of all that, you've got all that stuff going on. So the forum, although not one of the biggest in the world, is actually really active, and the people that are involved in it are absolutely brilliant. I've been looking for a long, long time and taking and gleaming and nicking from them the best ideas and thinking, yeah, I want more. And it's a game that sucks you in. You know, as a GM, I've read the book through several times, and all the time I'm finding little things out. And they brought out 2 other books for it that I love. You've got Monster Island, which sounds really cheesy. It's a beautiful book. And you've also got Advanced Sorcery. So if you didn't, there was enough options already. Advanced Sorcery opens up even further. If you like your characters dabbling with demonic creatures, it's in there. Even in this book, there's bits in there. If you want to improve the magic, you can make a deal, you can make a pact, you can do something. But that's going to mean that you're going to have to do 2 or 3 adventures for that entity, for them to appease them, to give you this power. Oh, you know, the role-playing potential is massive. It's just such a good game, and therefore I submit it to you. This is Magic World. I'm going to give it the perfect 4 stars in my channel, even with its flaws. A brilliant game, made by Chaosium. A big shout out to Willis, Munro, Morrison, and all the friends involved in creating Magic World, whoever they may be. You did an amazing job. You should be rightfully very proud. This is a game that deserves even more exposure, and I really do hope, I know in these cost-cutting times, companies have to make tough decisions, and I fully understand that. However, this is a game that deserves even more support, not less. And I hope that some of you GMs out there will give this book a go. I don't think you're going to be disappointed, and I think you'll find it's an absolutely brilliant book. Now, to give you an idea, in the UK, this book costs about £20-ish. I believe online the PDF is somewhere in a range of about sort of 13 quid, something like that. I may well be wrong. It may have gone up or down since the last time I saw it. I apologise, but the bottom line is this is an absolutely fabulous game. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been the Outsiders channel, talking to you about Magic World. Hope you've enjoyed it. I look forward to hearing about your thoughts on it. Take care of yourselves and see you soon.